These new reports of a criminal probe have shares of UNH at the bottom of the Dow and the S&P this morning.
UnitedHealth shares now at a 5-year low.
More utilization. They're seeing more activity.
The company is under a criminal probe.
A margin issue with one of their core products, Medicare Advantage.
It's clear investors are spooked by the headwinds the company is facing.
Big question now is, do we think that this is a bottom after everything we've seen over the course of the last few months?
Over the last 2 months, UnitedHealth Group has completely gone through the blender. At one point in April, they were trading for almost $600 per share. However, today the stock is trading around $300, down almost 50% from these recent highs. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at all of the bad news surrounding this company. However, what I think is more important is I'm going to give my opinion on whether this news is actually relevant for the long term or whether these are all just short-term hurdles that UnitedHealth Group is going to have to work through. And the second thing that I want to look at in this video is UnitedHealth Group's valuation. It is very interesting right now because it gives us an idea of where the company could potentially be headed in the future. And we're going to use this valuation to come up with some potential price targets for this stock over the course of the next year. There are a number of major issues that UnitedHealth Group is facing. However, one of the first ones that brought them into the public eye was a cybersecurity attack on the company that resulted in around 100 million people's information being stolen. And whenever an attack like this takes place, there's almost always repercussions for the company. There are fines, there are lawsuits, they even had to pay around $22 million to the hackers to get access to their system again. So of course, this is something that United Healthcare Group is going to have to work through. They're going to have to pay a number of different fines. They are going to have different lawsuits come about over the next few years, and they're going to have to improve their cybersecurity. However, at the end of the day, this isn't something that fundamentally changes United Healthcare Group's business. So in my opinion, this is a very short-term thing that shouldn't affect United Healthcare Group over the next 5 to 10 years and really shouldn't have an impact on whether you're willing to buy the stock or not. The second major issue facing United Health Group is the possibility of Medicare fraud. It is currently being alleged that UNH's Medicare Advantage business is being investigated for potential fraud. And the reason I say alleged is there is no evidence that they are actually being investigated. This all came about from a report from the Wall Street Journal that doesn't cite any sources, and the company has actually denied. After the Wall Street Journal released this report, the company released a statement saying, "We have not been notified by the Department of Justice of the supposed criminal investigation reported," without official attribution in the Wall Street Journal today. The Wall Street Journal's reporting is deeply irresponsible, as it even admits that the exact nature of the potential criminal allegations is unclear. We stand by our integrity of our Medicare Advantage program. So again, from my perspective, thinking about the fact that there is nothing actually supporting these allegations, I see this as being a short-term issue. This is something that the company is going to have to work through. They're going to have to regain a little bit of trust with investors by getting this report kind of removed and getting it behind them. At the end of the day, as long as the DOJ isn't actually investigating them, the company should be fine over the long run, and they should be able to work through these issues, especially if they get back to growth in 2026. And this is exactly what the company plans to do. They pulled their full year guidance for 2025. However, they did release a statement saying they expect to return to growth in 2026. And this was followed by a shakeup at the CEO position. Their previous CEO stepped down for personal reasons, which is a very vague reason to step down from a company. However, they did bring in their old CEO, Stephen Hemsley. And Stephen Hemsley immediately went to work trying to reinvigorate some confidence from investors.
But David, why do they buy? Sometimes they buy because there's a bargain. Now, typically these insiders, maybe they buy like 1,500 shares. Well, how about if you bought your Stephen Hemsley, returning CEO, who acquired 86,000 shares at 288, That's pretty good, 25 mil.
Give me a 5-year chart, by the way, guys. 5 years,
Well,
just to put
yeah,
this in
but
perspective. Yeah, sorry,
Okay,
go ahead.
and then Kristen Gill, director of 3,700 shares. Timothy Patrick, director of 1,553. The CFO, come right in. The CFO's in there buying the heck out of it too, 5 million. So I just say to myself, if they really knew, like the journal says, that they're being investigated criminally, that's a very big buy that would obviously go away.
As Kramer says there is only one reason to buy stock in a company, and that is because you believe that it is undervalued. And Stephen Hemsley immediately came in and bought 86,700 shares of the company at a price of around $288 per share. He now holds almost 700,000 shares of the company. We also saw this from other executives at the company around this May 15th timeframe. And fundamentally right now, all indications are that UnitedHealth Group is trading at an extremely low valuation. Their forward P/E ratio is currently sitting at a 13.74. That is down significantly from where it was a year ago of around an 18.32. And if we look at their PEG ratio based off expected 5-year EPS, we can see that it is currently at a 0.83. That is down again significantly from where it was at a year ago of a 1.44. Ultimately, the reason this stock is down is because of the uncertainty around where their earnings are headed over the next 1 to 2 years. Current projections for 2025 have EPS sitting at $22.39. However, there is a low expectation of $20 and a high expectation of $26 per share. This is down no matter what from what they put up a year ago of $27.66. If we look at these numbers, fundamentally, they are a significant decline in EPS. Even on the top end, you're seeing a decline of 6%. However, on the bottom side, you're seeing a decline of earnings of almost 30%. But even based off the current valuation of a 13.74, I still think that the stock is undervalued. Even on the low end, if they only put up $20 of EPS this year at a 15 PE ratio, that would put the stock at $300 per share. Right now, the stock should be trading closer to an 18 forward P ratio, which would put the stock price closer to $360 per share. If we look at the high-end EPS, again, of $26 per share, if the company were to trade at an 18 forward P ratio, that would result in a stock price of around $470 per share. So across the board, it still looks like the company right now is fairly undervalued. And that is purely based off 2025 numbers. If we look at 2026, analysts have an average EPS estimate of $26.23. The low estimate is $22.30. This would actually be no growth in 2026. So that is certainly a possibility. However, the company themselves don't even expect that. They are expecting to get to growth in 2026. And on the high side, that could potentially even result in an EPS number of $33.50. When we look at these 2026 numbers, the stock certainly looks undervalued because even at $22.30, that is a decline of 19% in EPS compared to 2024 levels. But at a 15 PE ratio, the stock should be trading around $334 per share. However, what gets very exciting is looking at their outperform numbers. At $33.50 of EPS, that is growth of around 21% based off their 2024 numbers. And even at a 15 PE ratio, that would be a stock price of $500 per share. At a 22 forward P ratio, that would be a stock price of almost $740 per share. So looking at UnitedHealth Group right now, I think that they are in a very interesting position. This might be a stock that you really only have until their next earnings announcement to buy into. And that could be because at the end of the day, all of this negativity has been priced into the company. If they come through and post anything positive in their next couple of earnings announcements, this stock could shoot up in a major way. So UnitedHealth Group is a company that I plan to add to my portfolio. At the end of the day, it's not going to be a major position. However, I think right now the price is worth the risk to buy into it, and there is some potential upside, maybe 50 to even potentially 100% upside from the current stock price. But as I always say, don't buy a company just because some random guy on YouTube talked about it. Make sure you are doing your own research and looking into companies that meet your risk tolerance as well as your time horizon. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to drop a like down below and subscribe for more videos like this one. And as always, have a wonderful rest of your day.